And you describe your work in a beautiful way, which is part chaotic and part realistic lasagna of terrible jolliness. Does that mean happiness or humour drives your work?
I think it's a bit of both, really. I mean, I don't know about definition as a street artist, because I'm probably not. I'm the complete opposite of a street artist, because I'll go along if I'm invited and I'm allowed, but I wouldn't go along if I wasn't, because I'd be a bit scared. So I'm sort of a very shy street artist, but I love creating artwork on the street, because it really was like an amazing sort of introduction to Hastings, because it was straight after lockdown and I'd only properly moved here sort of a few years before that, so it just gave me a chance to really get to know people, just talk to people whilst I was working, and make my mark and make a sort of permanent mark on the street. But yeah, in terms of sort of the work being, like the meaning of the work, it is really just to make people smile. I just like the idea of sort of putting something out there which is just quite light-hearted and quite silly, and it's accessible for all ages and all people, and it's not going to be too serious.
Okay. So you say you'd be too nervous to be a street artist, but you mean you wouldn't want to be going out in the middle of the night and tagging things, but working in the street with a commission is very different.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that that's one of the lovely things about Coastal Currents and the commissions to paint walls and the BT boxes, is that you're sitting there working and it's like you are an artist in residence on the pavement, and it's quite interesting because you whether you like it or not, you're going to end up having conversations with people. And I feel that that's a really important thing, because you bring the most unexpected people together, and you're there and you will have extraordinary conversations with people. And so part of the creation of the art is literally being part of the community and a connector with the community as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is just really entertaining. I mean, because my background was in teaching, I was always around big groups of people. I was always part of a conversation. And then when I then went and sat in my chair on my own for, I don't know, a year or so, like getting back out there and talking to people was amazing.
So you moved to Hastings, Bexhill area relatively recently. So tell me your background. Where did you come from, and did you do a formal degree?
Yeah, so I am born in Hastings.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of those rare few, but I didn't live here, so I was down here on holiday and popped out early. But it's in my passport, so I can say that I'm born in Hastings. I spent a lot of my childhood in Hastings with family, but I was actually based in Watford, so I taught in Watford for 13 years as head of art, and then moved here 4 years ago. I just jumped off my career.
Okay.
Into the wilderness.
And how has taking part in Coastal Currents affected your practice?
It just sort of gave me confidence to, I don't know, sort of throw myself into anything, really, because as soon as I sort of felt, well, I've done that now, you know, I've got a few artworks out there, people are starting to recognise my work, people would talk to me about having seen my work on the street. It sort of gave me a platform to then approach other artists, get into conversation with them, and start sort of trying to exhibit more around Hastings. So it really was just like a stepping stone to getting involved more in the local art scene.
Excellent. And can you tell us a bit about other partnerships that you've had across the region?
Because I'm trying to think how it was actually through the college. I met a few other artists. So once we sort of came out of teaching at the college, we then stayed in contact, and then in lockdown we were part of a artist hub where we sort of supported each other and had like weekly phone calls to check in and see what we were doing with our artwork. And then on the back of that, it sort of expanded a bit, and I organised a all-female exhibition last year in the Stade. So that was with 12 or 13 of us, and now we've sort of just stayed in touch, and we're just sort of like an ever-growing community. It is actually all-female, so we probably need to expand it a bit. Did
you intentionally have it as an all-female group?
I don't know what the correct answer is.
There's no correct answer.
I don't know. No, I don't think I consciously did.
Yeah.
It just so happened that people I approached, because I had this sort of vision of the exhibition theme, they were all female artists.
And speaking of female artists, and it's International Women's Day, who's the female that you feel has impacted on your life most?
I know, I was thinking about this question. There isn't one person. It's like a sort of eternally influential thing that I just really admire people, females that just are strong and sort of go up against it and overcome things and sort of plough on and against all sorts of different situations. And I've come across a lot of people who have done that, and that's what I find inspiring. And you know, I think as an artist you have sort of up and down days, and if I'm having like a day where I think, you know, where's it all going, what am I doing, I sort of think about other people that sort of struggle and overcome that, and you just think, well, this is nothing.
Excellent, thank you. And do you have any advice for anyone looking to find happiness in their creative practice?
It's a bit of a tricky one. I think I'm probably going to sound really pessimistic. I think it's really hard to maintain constant happiness as an artist because you're really, I don't know, you're really putting yourself out there, and it's really difficult to succeed, and it's really difficult to know when you are succeeding. I think just to, how do I stay happy as an artist? I think just to really keep going in all different directions. So don't get fixated on one thing. If one thing, you know, isn't working, deviate off and do something else. I think it's just about staying connected and staying flexible and just being involved, really.
That's a really good answer. Excellent. And what are your plans in the pipeline?
I've got too many plans. I've sort of, I think again because I've always got teacher's mindset. I never snap out of being a teacher, so I sort of have like a whole annual list of things that I want to work towards. So I've got a group exhibition coming up at Electro Studios with a group of Hastings artists. I've got a collaboration with the Comedy Festival that's popping up in Hastings, and I've got quite a lot of galleries that I'm trying to pursue eagerly.
And I think actually that's probably one of the tips for emerging artists is to have that list of things that you intend to do in the year, and then you have got a checklist that you can go back to and tick things off, or just think, oh yeah, I better get in touch with those people in Rye. And
I mean, I have, because I don't have a studio, I've literally got a chair, so this is sort of my working space that I have at home, and I have a little list behind me, and it's called something like Happy Surprises. So throughout the year, anything that pops up that I wasn't anticipating that was positive, I'll just add it to my list.
Brilliant. That's a fantastic good creative practice recommendation. Thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah.